Hello everybody, Jamie the Board Game Man, and today we're going to look at a really cool little dice game, and it just came out, brand new by Mike Petty Games. Today we're going to look at two different versions of the game. We've got Ozone and Pirate Ozone. Arr. All right, everybody, here we are at the gaming table with Ozone. Let's check it out right here. All right, so I'll go over the components of the game. First of all, you're going to have 10 dice total. You can have two of different color. These are for each team. You can play 1 against 1. You can have teams 2 against 2, 3 against 3, whatever you want to do. And you also have this string, which is pretty cool. It's like a measurement, which I'll go over later on. And you also have these targets. You will have 3 Ozone targets, which we have on the far end of the table. All right, and you also have the 2 foul discs, is what they call them. And what you're going to do is you're going to roll one of your die, but you have to make sure you roll it. You are not allowed to slide your die. That is illegal. But you have to at least bounce the die before the line. So I can't go like this and do that. I'd have to at least have a bounce before the foul line. Now I'm going to try to get as close as those targets as possible. Each team is going to take a turn throwing one die. Now, let's go ahead and I'll show you a couple of these, and then we'll go over the scoring. So the black team here, which each team is going to roll a die. Whoever gets the highest roll, obviously, will go first. So in this case, I'm going to try to do this. Okay, that was my first ever roll. That was horrible. All right, let me try it again here. Nope. Okay, and then it goes to black. Well, I got to put some muscle into this. Green. Okay, and the black. Oh my goodness, look at that. Wow, sorry, I didn't mean to yell there. Okay, green. And you'll see why that's a very important thing in there. Okay, black. And then green. And then black. And make sure, like I said, make sure you bounce it before the line, and then green. Oh, okay, that fell off. Okay. So, after you do that, what you're going to do, first things first, you're going to see if anybody has landed on the target. If you land on one of the targets, then you get 10 points for that. And what you'll do is you have to have a pad and paper, paper and pencil, and you're going to tally the score. First team or player, how many players you have, gets to 100 points first, wins the game. All right, so I don't have any on the target, or at least touching the target. If that ever happens, you would take that die and place it next to the score pad, and that you would score immediately 10 points. In this case here, let me show you what the targets look like. You have 3 different targets. 2 targets have 3 points, and 1 has 6. So you can arrange this any way you want. I have the 2, 3 on the outside and 6. Let me go ahead and show you what the target looks like. Here's the one that says 3. Okay, that's one. There's 2 of those. And then you also have one that says 6. I'll show you what that looks like. And you can see on the target on the top, it does say 10 points for dice on target. Okay, and then it has a die plus 6. So, how you do the scoring. First of all, you're going to look to see if any dice are touching the targets, and you get 10 points for that. Then you're going to look at each target and find out which die is closest to each target. Okay? So, for instance, on this one here, I would say would be the closest one to this one. So, therefore, I would get 6 points here, and I'm the closest one, so I would get 3 points. So, for instance, this would be 9 points for that target. For this one here, this would be the closest die. So, boy, green made out like a bandit here, it looks like. So, green is the closest here, so you get 4, because it always depends on what you roll, plus the 6. So, you would get 10 points for that. Black came through on this one. This one is going to be definitely the closest to that. Now, if you get 2 that are very close, you're not too sure who is the closest, that's when this cool string comes in handy. And you actually use the string to kind of, okay, right in the middle of the target, and you try to figure out, okay, that one's okay. And then you do a little measurement, and that's how you figure out, that's how you use the string to figure out who's the closest. So in this case, the black is closer to this one. This is 6 plus the 3, so black would get 9 points. Now what's cool is a little bonus. Whoever gets to the farthest edge of the table without going over, which that's why I was so excited about this, it's literally hanging off the edge here. You would actually get double the points that are on your die. So in this case, I had a 3, so you double that, so I would get 6 points for this die, okay? So you got 9 points, 10 points, that's 19. Black would have 9 and 6, 15. And that would be your score for the first round. Then you would go ahead and do this again. You would keep doing it until one team reaches 100 points. And that's how you would win Ozone. But wait, there is another version. It's called R, the Pirate Ozone. Let's check that out. I'm going to go ahead and get this set up for the Pirate Ozone. All right, now we're going to go over to Pirate Ozone. You can see it's a little different. You can see here we're going to have 3 islands. All right, so we got the treasure islands out there. And you're going to have one of these markers at each end of the table. This time each person's going to have 6 dice. Every team's going to have 6 dice, 5 of the normal 6-sided dice. And then you're going to have a 12-sided die, these are the cannonballs. And these you're going to throw after you throw your ships. So these are ships, and these are the cannonballs. Each side is going to go ahead and take a turn. And once again, now one thing I did forget about the Ozone, which I do want to bring that up here. If you throw a foul, let's just say you went whoops and you threw it ahead of that, and you do hit another die, it's minus 4 points. So I don't want to forget that. Same thing with this in the pirate area. If you throw a foul and it hits another ship, then it's minus 100 doubloons. Okay, that's what we have. These are doubloons this time. And the team or player that has the most doubloons after 4 rounds wins the game. So you're not going to a point, sort of like the first one, you go up to 100 points. In this, you're going to go whoever has the most after 4 rounds. Okay, so you're going to roll, each side's going to roll a die. Whoever has the highest number is going to start first. Since I'm on this side, I'm going to go ahead and black's going to be the first player. Just like before, I'm going to go ahead and throw it behind it and try to hit these islands. Okay, now green's going to go. I guess I'll just go back and forth here. And green's going to go and da-da-da. Okay. Then the black's going to try their turn. Ooh, look at that. Okay, now green's going to come over. And now you can knock off the other dice. You can go after other dice, or ships. I'm sorry, not dice, ships. As long as it's not a foul. Ooh, there we go. Getting a little better at this. Okay, now the black die. Okay, then we got the green going over here. Okay, and then the black's going to go take their turn. Whoops, a little too hard there. Green's going to throw theirs. Okay, and then black's going to throw their final die. Ooh, very close. And then green's going to throw their final die. Okay, there we go. Now all teams have thrown their ships out there. So now you got all the ships out there. Now, unlike in Ozone, where if you land on the target, you take it off immediately and you place it next to you and it's 10 points. In this, you do not do that right away. All right. Now what you're going to do is each side is going to throw their cannonball. Okay. Whoever's the first player or first team that threw first gets to do the first cannonball throw. Now, let me make sure I get this right here. Okay, so now when we're firing the cannons, this is what we're doing, we're firing the cannons. Each team is going to choose a gunner to toss their cannonball die this round. And like I just said, beginning with the team that went first this round, the gunner tosses the cannonball. All rules for tossing the dice apply. You have to have it be behind the line. Okay, and like I said, if you throw it over, just like with a ship, it's minus 100 doubloons at the end of the round. So you don't want to do that. Now, say the gunner throws a die, or the cannonball. I gotta get the terminology right, sorry. Once they threw the cannonball, If they don't like that throw, and as long as you didn't foul, or as long as you didn't throw it off the table, you can throw it up to 3 times. So say I roll it once, I didn't like it. As long as I didn't foul, or as long as I didn't throw it off the edge, you can roll it a second time. And then if you still don't like it, you got a third time, and then that's it. Okay, so I'm going to try this here. Oh, okay. Now, like I said, cannonballs may strike and relocate any dice on the table on the toss. As you'll see, let's see here. After the first team has finished firing their cannonball as described, the other team's gunner tosses it in the same way. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go over here on the black team. See what I can do with this cannonball over here. Got a lot of greens over here. I'm going to try to, because these are beautiful over here. Those aren't even touched. Let's see what we got here. See if I can do anything. Okay, well, I kind of pushed mine away a little bit. I don't know about that. Anyway, okay. So, actually, I guess that was the green side. I'm sorry, that was the green side. So I actually did push the black one a little bit out of there. So that might have been a good thing, actually. Okay. Okay, so now both sides have thrown their cannonballs. They're happy with what they did. After both teams are done with the firing of the cannons, step, remove from play all ships that are farther than 1 league away from the edge of all islands. What you say when they say 1 league away is from one corner of the box to the other. This is what they call 1 league. So anything that's farther away from the one corner to the other, you're going to take it away. And honestly, I think the way it's set up right now, I think I did it kind of perfect. Because none of these other ones, all these are way over here, and all these other ones are, well, let's see. That last green one might be a little farther away. Let's see. No, actually, that green one on the edge, that green one's still there. So those 3 greens are going to be right there, and that black one's okay too. So kind of a good example there. So anything that's outside of 1 league will get taken away. Okay, so these will probably get taken away there. All those are still in play. So that's the first thing you're going to do. Okay, now the number you rolled on those cannonballs are going to come into play here because that's going to be the strength of your cannonball. Okay, let's see here. First, you're going to, in the same turn order used for tossing the cannonballs, which was over here, you're going to, each team resolves their cannonball as follows. Each step is complained in the detail below here. Determine the strength of the cannonball. So you can see here, green has a strength of 6, and black had the strength of 3. So I rolled some low numbers there. Holy cow. Okay. You're going to determine the strength of enemy ships within range 1 league of the cannonball, partially in large range counts. So you're going to sink as many enemy ships as possible. So, well, in this case, it's kind of interesting. We've got the 6 here. It is 1 range, and this is only a 3. So technically, I would go ahead and sink this ship. Now, if I would have rolled a 2 or a 1, it wouldn't have been strong enough to blow up that ship. But since I rolled a 6, and that's the only black one that's around here within 1 league, this is now gone. This has now been sunk, and that's all she wrote there. Unfortunately, the black one's way over there, and it's way far away from any kind of ships. So we don't have to worry about that one. That one's kind of pretty much out of play, unfortunately. Rolled that a little too hard there. Okay, so here we go. In descending order of the strength, you're going to sink as many enemy ships within range as possible without exceeding the cannonball's strength, like I just said. Sunk ships will eventually be removed from play, but to avoid errors, don't actually remove them until everyone agrees which will sink. So obviously, if there's a lot, like if this was a black one and a green one all together right there, you might have to figure out. Now, the next higher strength ship is the other. What would happen was if I had a 6, and let's just say I had a 3, I'm going to borrow this. This was a 6 right here. And this was maybe a 2. And then maybe, let's say this was a 6 here. The closest one, if you had 3 here, this would be sunk. The next closest would be 2. This would total 5. It would be under 6, so this would still be sunk. But then this would only have 1 more power, and this would be too high. So that one would be safe. So that's kind of how that works. Okay? All right, so I'm going to go and put these back over here like they were. And this was out of play. So that's how you do it. The closest one, you're going to see how much that power is versus the cannonball. You'll take it out. Next, take it out until you've used up all the number that's on the cannonball. Okay. Now it looks like we're pretty much done here. It looks like there's nothing else we're really doing. Nothing else is within a league away from that. So now what you're going to do, there's a couple little caveats I want to mention too. And there's a couple things that I want to definitely mention. Is teams only sink ships once per round after both teams have completely finished tossing their cannonballs. Cannonballs can't sink under other cannonballs. So you can't have something you're trying to go for your opponent's cannonball. You cannot sink those. So cannonballs cannot be sunk. If two enemy ships are tied in strength and if order would matter, the team doing the sinking decides which one sinks. So that's pretty cool. So if I had that 6 there and I had 2 6s right next to it, well, you determine which one you want to sink. Okay, scoring the round. Once both teams have sunk all ships they could, it's time to score. Arr! All right, the team with the most control at each island will score the doubloons printed on the island. You can tell it's pretty self-explanatory in these, and that's kind of cool. I actually nailed those, so that's pretty awesome. So dice in contact with the island contribute 2 control toward the island. Each die within 1 league from the edge of the island contributes 1 control. In this case, I don't think we really have to worry about that because it's pretty clear which ones are in control here. So this, I would have 1 over here. I would have, well, actually that's 2 because I am actually touching it. So I would have 2 control here, 2 control here. Obviously, we have a couple control over here too because we have a couple 1s that are right there. I would say probably that one and then these two, the 2 4s right here. This one's a little too far out. But no, actually, I think we decided that was it. So this would actually total 3. This would be 2. This would be 2. Okay. So now we determine who gets what. Okay. In this case, it's pretty easy to see. We didn't really have any blacks and greens mixed in together, but that's how you would do it, is you would figure out, let's see here. And note that you're only counting the dice in this step, not considering the die values. So you're just kind of looking and see how many. I'm not saying, oh, that's 6, that's 6. No, it's just how many dice you have in that area. Excuse me. All right. Then you're going to determine which team has the most control at each island and add that island's doubloons to the team's score. If the teams are tied for control of an island, the team with the most dice in contact with the island gets the doubloons. If you're still tied, the total value of each team's dice contributing control there. So you use that as a tie-breaking factor for an island. That's what you would use. That's when you would use the what you rolled. Okay. Team with the highest total gets the doubloons, and if still tied, both teams get half of the doubloons of that island. Okay. So, in this case, green will actually get that 300 doubloons. This black over here has 300 doubloons, and then the middle one is 500 doubloons. So it'd be 800 to 300. That would be the score. Let me go ahead and show you what these look like. I know they're a little far away there. This is what the 300 doubloons looks like. It's pretty cool. And then this is what the 500 looks like here. There you go. All right. And you would do that for 4 rounds. So you would go ahead and scoop up the dice. You do it again. And whoever has the most doubloons after 4 rounds wins the game. And that, my friends, is Ozone and Pirate Ozone. So let's head up to the game room, and I'll give you my final thoughts. All right, so my final thoughts on Ozone and Pirate Ozone. What a fun little game. These are actually pretty cool, and they're nice and small. They're compact. And in fact, that string that you saw, when it comes to measuring how far away it is to discover, okay, this one's closer, this one's not, you can actually use it to tie them together and actually use it as a, to keep them together so the lids don't pop off. If you're traveling, you want to make sure the lids, actually, they're on there pretty good though. But you can use that string to kind of tie it up to keep them together. That's kind of cool too. It actually says that in there that you can actually use that not only for measuring, but to actually keep them shut. So that's kind of cool too. So, but that's a really good plus, is that they're small. They're compact. You got the Pirate one here, and it doesn't take much room. Here's the Ozone. The Ozone, I still have the dice. Now, if you get the Ozone version, it has red and white dice, and it has your string in there, okay, which is pretty cool. And the Pirate one is what I showed you. They were green and black dice. And what's cool is when the Pirate one, on the flip side of the Pirate discs, are the Ozone discs. So that's really awesome. So you can do that as well. So, but I think it's kind of cool. Everyone that, rolling dice kind of reminds me of tumbling dice. And when you kind of roll the dice down, it goes, kind of reminded me of that when I first started playing. I'm like, yeah, it kind of has that feel to it. And you can see me, I was getting all excited when I had that die almost at the end of the table hanging over my, hey, I got all excited. That's the way this game does it. You sit there and you roll it, and depending on what kind of table you have, that dice can go anywhere. It could go wild, it can go boop, and just land right on the thing, which, of course, in the pirate one, I had 2 of them land right on the islands, which was really awesome. So, and look at how many more points I scored. It was 800 to 300 just because of that. So that was pretty cool. I do like that you're doing the die. You're doing the number of dice that are on each island. But then the cannonball, you have the number that's on there. That's the power of the cannonball versus the ships that are around it. So that's pretty cool too. So that's when the numbers come into play. Is the cannonball, how much you rolled on the cannonball versus the dice, the ships that you rolled, what the numbers were on that. So that was pretty cool. So I like that. Great job, Mike Petty Games. I think you have something here. And I hope all of you have enjoyed this episode. Let me know if you've played this game. Let me know if you've seen this game out there. Hopefully you have. If you have, check it out. I can imagine kids playing this game. Oh, I mean, what kids? Even us kids as adults, man. Who don't like rolling dice across the table? I mean, come on, man. All right. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the episode. And as always, happy gaming.